Okay. It should be coming up shortly. In the meantime, what can I talk about? Upcoming guest. Hopefully, Carlos Castro comes to mind. He's somebody that's been doing the Dirty Boxing with Danny Sullivan. Hoping Miss Peachy from Illustrisimo. And we got a few others planned. Also want to get definitely some females aboard. So if anybody's got any suggestions or know any female practitioners or instructors, please PM me so we can get them involved. They should be jumping on shortly. What else? Please hit like and subscribe. So the YouTube channel FMA discussion. Hopefully he should have gotten the invite. Just see what's going on. Hopefully he should be, invite was sent, so hopefully should be any minute now. Yes, let's. All right. All right. Oh, what happened? It was there. This is strange. It was working the other day.
Hi there.
Hey. Can you hear me? Okay.
Hey Dean, how you doing?
All right. I'm just seeing why you're not showing up on Facebook. I hear and see you perfectly. Oh, there we go. Okay. Nope. I'm looking at Facebook now and you're on. Perfect. We should be good to go.
Okay, awesome.
All right. So.
Okay. Hi everybody.
Good. But you can hear me, you can't see me, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, hey, I want to thank you for
I can hear you. Yeah. Can't see you. Little bit of a lag, but it's all good. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you fine. It's a little bit of a lag, but yeah.
That's okay. Again, when I get on YouTube and edit and all that, we'll be good. So, but again, I wanted to, thanks for coming on and doing it. I appreciate it. Been telling everybody about this.
Thank you for having me, really.
What's that?
Sir.
All right, so we're just going to jump right into it. I just got one for you, John.
I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. John says, all right, thank you, John. He says we're good and all that. Okay. So we got a couple questions from the viewers. I'm going to kind of save those towards the end.
All right.
So I guess what I want to start is just we'll get a background of your journey. Like, what was your first martial arts experience?
I mean, basic. I've had some kickboxing experience. I took some aikido, some aikijutsu. I was fortunate enough when I was a kid. My dad got a job in Hong Kong, so I was able to. I never trained there. All right, I was very very young. I was about 6 years old. I lived there for about 6 years, and but I got to watch Chinese martial arts culture. I grew up with it. even though I've never actually trained Chinese martial arts. And then my FMA journey, so to speak, started in the later half of the 90s. And I started with Illustrisimo, on the lineage of Tony Diego and Topher Ricketts. I was training with them for a bit. And through them, I met Maestro Yuli. And I met Maestro Yuli, I would say around 97 or so. And my journey has been pretty much influenced, and I've been interpreting everything he's taught me ever since.
Okay.
So, in that regard, yeah, I'm since about '98, I've been a product of Yuli Romo.
All right. So I just want to back up a bit. I know you started training in the Chinese arts and all that. What led you to choose Illustrisimo in the beginning?
Well, I didn't really choose Illustrisimo. It kind of just chose me. Uh, I was, I was studying some kickboxing. I studied some Yao Yan here and there, just a little bit. And then I was looking for. Everybody ends up finding an art where they hang their hat. And one day, my mom told me, I have a friend whose child is training, and they have an instructor over there. So I went, and the instructor was Wilfredo Santa Iglesia, and he was an instructor of Illustrisimo. But it was the lineage of Tony Dager and Topher Ricketts, GM Tony, and I started with that. And the first time I saw it, I absolutely fell in love with it. And then later on, as I progressed, and then I met Maestro Yuli, I was like, you know what, this is it. I This is where I want to bring my focus to. This is where I want to, I want to grow in that art, and I wanted to grow in the interpretation that he had. So I ended up, yeah, I ended up. I guess you could say FMA wise, I'm a product of Illustrisimo, but not from Tatang, from people who interpreted Tatang, so to speak.
So,
So,
no, it's fascinating. I like the part where you said, it kind of chose you. David Gould from Ilmaco says, told me one time, Ilmaco, you don't choose Ilmaco, it chooses you, which I found kind of profound. But getting just back, um, how long did you study kind of on with GM Tony and Ricketts?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
How long did you study with GM Tony and GM Ricketts?
Oh, actually, GM Tony, I only met GM Tony later on in life, but it was his lineage through Topher Ricketts. But my instructor in Kalis Illustrisimo of that lineage was Wilfredo Santa Iglesia, and I was I was that in that for about a few years. I was already kind of teaching it. I was doing that for about a good 3 years or so,
Okay.
and but I had already heard of Yuli Romo. See, and yeah, and I kept going back to it, when I would see him move, it wasn't it wasn't like anything I'd ever seen before, and people ask me like what are my influences, what influenced me, the arts that I took. And a fellow the other day just asked me like, so what influenced you? I was like, it was all just an interpretation. And if you look at both GM Tony's lineage and Maestro Yuli's lineage, they're just interpretations of Tatang Illustrisimo. And Maestro Yuli and Don Diego, they do not move. 100% like Tatang. In fact, I have a video of Maestro Yuli, which I'm going to upload later, and you can see him doing it. He's doing the same applications, so to speak, but his expression is completely different. There's a lot more expression to it. There's a lot more mechanics to it. So I wanted to learn that. So in a sense, what I'm doing now is just an interpretation of what I've trained in my lineage, so to speak. Where I came from was from the lineage of GM Tony, the lineage of Maestro Yuli. I will not call myself Illustrisimo, because if you look at how Maestro Yuli moves, yeah, there are elements of Tatang there, but it's not a pure imitation. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just an interpretation. All I can do really is just interpret to the best of my abilities what I was taught. So.
No, I definitely understand that. That's great. Just how okay? What year did you meet Yuli?
I met Master Yuli around 98, 99. 97,
Okay.
98, 99. Yeah, late 90s. And he's been my main influence ever since I met him. So.
So did you meet now? So did you go? Is he currently? Was in Mindanao? Did you go to meet him or and to start training with him?
Oh, at the time, he was asked to teach some of Topher Ricketts' students. Master Topher, he asked Master Yuli, hey, coming down and teach you guys. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm there. And that was my first actual training with him. But for a very, very long time, Maestro Yuli kept telling me, okay, just sit down. Okay, like just sit and watch. And for like the first year or so, that was pretty much what I was doing. I was just watching him. I
Wow.
didn't understand until later on why, because and yeah, for a very, very long time, he told me, don't do anything, just watch and watch and watch and look at every single tiny detail, where I shift my weight, how I move my feet, how I coordinate my body, and I was able to notice all those things before pairing up with him too much. So when I paired up with him, finally, after like seriously paired up with him, I was able to feel the energy he was able to generate from his body mechanics, which, as you said, they are very unique. And so watching, what he told me was, watching is learning it. You're watching, you're processing it, it's turning the gears in your head, and then you pair up and apply it, and that's the understanding part. So it really helps to actually watch, have a good, and I'm a very visual person. Okay, like my, probably my very strong imagination from when I was a kid. But the visualization part is very, very important, especially in his training. So I watched him for a really long time. And then when I paired up, I understood why he was doing certain movements, certain mechanics. And
Okay.
I didn't understand it until later on in life, but I'm very, very grateful. That's how we talk.
I tell you, that's different. That's the first time I've ever heard where a student was asked to like sit and watch for like for a period of time. In your case, for a year. That's definitely different. And I can kind of see why because when I alluded to you when I asked you was like those movements are definitely unique. And that's what I want to get to next. What did Yuli? In other words, this is my understanding, and I'm not saying I'm correct. Is that his system is a fusion of Illustrisimo and Balintawak. And by no means am I saying I'm correct. I'm just what I'm hearing. But I want to hear from you. What makes
Uh,
Bahad Zubu?
well, I'm not gonna label uh, who his lineage is or whatnot, because everybody knows that Master Yuli was Tatang's student. Okay,
Definitely.
and but here's what not a lot of people know. Tatang was taught by a fellow named Pedro Cortes, and
Definitely know
this
that
is
name.
as much as the knowledge that I know. All right, so if it's corrected later on, okay. Yeah, Pedro Cortes. And Pedro Cortes was taught by a fellow named Islao Romo. Islao Romo is Master Yuli's great grandfather.
Okay.
So who taught who, what lineage? I don't. Again, the reason I use the term interpreted was because the way I was taught, especially by him, is like here's an influence, here's a training, here's a lesson. Now take it and make it yours. And the standards he held me to and it's the same standards I teach everyone. I want the people I teach to surpass me. I want the people I teach to be able to do stuff that I'm going to ask them to teach me later on. That way I know I did my job. So, like, what did he study? In the end, I was like, I asked him the same question. I think it doesn't really matter and he told me who taught him. And he's like, go watch their movements, go look at their pictures. The elements are there, the mindset is there, the concepts are there, but the expression is completely different. Okay,
Okay.
and if there are similarities, that's all they are, similarities. How he uses them, how he applies them, it's his own thing. So, did he study this or that? I mean, I studied a lot of stuff too. So, but I'll never say like this or that. I wasn't there. So,
Right, 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 right.
to
No,
my knowledge, I know the names of the people who he trained with. As to saying like as to labeling him like this or that, best you guys go ask him. I'm not gonna
yeah.
say it. All right. I know the names of the people that taught him. In train under Tatang Illustrisimo, Jose Milango, amazing. If you guys have ever heard of Jose Milango, I never got the honor to meet him. I would have loved to. For the most part, those are the people that, to my knowledge, he trained.
Can you can you just repeat that name again? Because I don't know if I'm familiar with the person that you just mentioned. And he's somebody I would like to follow up on. Can you? What was his name again?
Jose Milan, uh, Jose Go. He didn't really have that much exposure. What I know about Jose Go is that he studied various arts. He studied his own. He trained with Anseong Bacon, and then after several years, I think it's after Gian Bacon got out of prison, Jogo developed his own understanding of what he learned. And there are actually some pictures where he ended up teaching Gian Bacon. All right, or it appears that he's teaching Giambacon what he developed. Now, again, I wasn't there. This is just
Right.
what I've read, what I've seen. Jose Go, fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. Just all right. Getting into um, the movements of Yuli. I know there were obviously several influences and all that, but I'm just trying to think how I could articulate this question. Was this over time where he came up with these movements, or was it just like was he self-taught innovation? Again, because many of his movements they're just so unique, you know.
Okay. All right. In order for me to answer this, I need to express this first. Maestro Yuli, his understanding and how I was taught, there needs to be a slight understanding of some Filipino culture here. It's a tribal art in a sense. Okay,
Okay.
martial quote unquote military means an empire. Technically, the Philippines never had one. We never had an empire. We never had a military. The art was animistic and tribal. So, I asked him, like, who taught you? And he's like, I kept training and training and training until one day I started dreaming.
Huh.
And he told me, when you start dreaming, when you start training in your dreams, those are your ancestors. Those are the masters who've gone before you, who have already said, okay, you're at that point where we can help you, where
Huh.
we can share
Interesting.
with you past knowledge. Okay, so, yeah, to understand what Master Yuli teaches, it's not just applications of movement. All right, that's easy. It's history, culture, and philosophy of the art. Without those three things, it's not an art. All right, the history, the culture, and the philosophy. I'm still learning a bunch of that stuff,
Yeah, I
and
can
you need
imagine
to
that's
have
a
that to understand it. A lot of
lifetime
times,
endeavor.
Dean, when I used to go to, I'm sorry.
No, lifetime endeavor. You know.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. I'm still on my journey. I'm still learning. So
Sure.
I'll never call myself a master at all. And a lot of times that I went to go train with him, we I was very fortunate to work for myself at the time. I was working out of my garage. I was a craftsman for the most part, and when I didn't have an order, I would be training with him. And so I was lucky enough to be able to go to master like daily for many years,
Wow.
right? Like 5 to 7 times a week. Okay? It was a train ride. Okay, one train and I was there. So I was very, very lucky in that part. I'm incredibly grateful for it. But a lot of the times, I'd go there, spend 8 hours, and we wouldn't move at all. We would
Huh.
sit down and talk. All right. Now, it it's very difficult to explain it unless I'm actually paired up with somebody showing it. But if you can, if it's standing in line, it's opening a door, it's riding on a train, it's walking, it's swimming, it's swinging a golf club, throwing a 3-point shot. If you can do all of these things, which every human being does on a daily basis for the last few thousand years or so, you can pretty much do everything that I do. Right? So the inspiration and that we draw from is literally day to day life. Okay,
Oh,
it's
interesting.
walking down the street, walking through a crowd, you know, sitting down. You know, Maestro's gift, aside from his visualization, which is insane, um, he's very good at breaking down movement, and he tries as much as he can to instill that in all of his students. And I was with him for a good many years, so I got that mentality from him. So yeah, it's not fighting. It's not an application of an angle, a strike, or any of that. It's daily life. Everything around you, the world, the universe around you, and
Okay.
everything I'm doing. Like if I told somebody who watches my videos, who watches our training videos, me and him, when we're paired up, and I tell them all I'm doing right there is simply walking. I'm just walking, but I'm conscious of every single part of my body when I do that. And that's what he tries to instill,
Be in
or at least
touch.
that's what I've interpreted.
No, fair enough. My next question is, I notice a lot of times you guys train with a longer stick. I don't know the measurement. I just know it appears to be maybe 40 plus inches. Um, can you talk about that?
For Yeah, the that's the bio stick, or what Maestro calls the alho, bali alho, and the the inspiration, I suppose, that that developed it, the alho, that movement that you see him and me and his other students using, that comes from a rice pestle.
Ah.
Right? So the movement that you see that's bringing it, yeah, it's a rice pestle. It's
No
grinding the
kidding.
rice,
How interesting.
grinding rice. But that mechanic, if you know how to tweak your body enough, it can actually generate a lot of energy, a lot of power, an incredible snap.
I can see it.
It's a beautiful thing. I'm still in love in it.
So is that is that a big component of the art? Knowing how to manage that length of stick?
Yes,
Yes.
very
Okay.
much,
Okay.
very much. The best way to explain it is, like in Wing Chun, you have the wooden dummy, the mukjong, I do believe it's called. I never trained Wing Chun, so
But the dummy,
um,
correct. Yep.
in a sense, that stick is the wooden dummy. Yes. So what I'm doing to manipulate and control that movement is that's my opponent's arm, that's my opponent's elbow, that's my opponent's head, neck, torso, you know.
That's
This movement in itself is actually training for the live hand.
that's fascinating. Wow, I didn't realize that. That is so fascinating. That stick would resemble the actual body that you referenced, elbow, arm, head. I have to say that's probably a first time that's ever like I've ever heard it relayed like that. That is very interesting.
Well, actually, Dean, what's fascinating is if you visit the Philippines, you'll see this movement everywhere. People are using it to wash their clothes in the river. You squeeze it, you slam it on the rock. You squeeze it, you slam it on the rock. I seen a fellow roasting peanuts on the street with that same movement. It's a strange. I was like, that's exactly what my teacher shows me. And it's great because it's been around in the Philippines since before the Spanish arrived. It is very uniquely Filipino, and that is pretty much what fascinated me. It fascinated me enough to prompt me to learn from him. And the way
No.
his mentality works is very reverse. When you're using the longer stick, you have to be closer to your opponent. Whereas if you're using a 24-inch, you can be further away. Now, it's difficult to try and explain it, verbally, but
That is
when I'm
counterintuitive.
paired
Yeah.
up, it actually makes a lot of sense.
Can you explain a
Yeah,
little more on
it's
that?
counterintuitive.
Yeah, can you explain a little more on that? I'm fascinated
He
by
even
that.
teaches us to shift our weight in a very unique way.
Okay. Um, no,
Oh,
I've
I'm
seen
sorry.
you guys when you drill that you guys are really close when you're doing that long stick.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I've definitely noticed the videos I've watched. Yeah, what so
The
when did you
mentality there is, where you.
when um when did you leave the
I'm sorry.
Philippines and come to the US?
Oh, I was. That was. Oh my gosh. It's about 6 years already. I mean, both my parents studied here. I've been coming here on and off. It's just, yeah, I don't really have any. All of my friends in the Philippines left. Uh, then one day, Master asks me, "So when are you going to teach?" And I was like, "I don't want to. I just want to train." And that was about the first time I ever actually saw him get really, really disappointed and really, really angry with me. He was like, "So why am I
Oh,
teaching you? Why'd you stick with me all this time?" I was like, "I wanted to learn." Well,
oh, because
all
you
those
told me
questions, and
before.
he told me, all those questions you keep asking me, and this is, yeah, many, many years. It was like, all those questions you're asking me, start teaching and you'll be able to answer them yourself. And it's true. Like a
Fascinating.
lot of the stuff that I was trying to figure out that I couldn't understand. Yeah, I started teaching, and it's a beautiful, wonderful challenge when somebody asks you questions. So when I'm doing a workshop, when I have a class, I keep telling people, just ask me questions. Ask me as many questions as you can. Otherwise, I'm just gonna just show whatever pops in my head, and it's at that point when you have to show.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's infinite. It's a very simple, basic container, forehand, backhand, but what he taught us to throw in there it's infinite. I never really run out of details to show because of it. So I always tell people, ask as many questions as you can. Pick my brain, please.
No, sure, sure. No, again, the movement is definitely unique. Whether it's the long stick he's using or you're using, or even the knife, that whole twisting and all that stuff you guys do. I mean, it's fascinating. Um, when you've come to U.S., when did you start teaching and where?
I started, well, like years before, before that, on a visit, I visited a friend in Las Vegas, and he connected me to a fellow named One Kick Nick, who connected me with a fellow named Rich Lamoureux, and he connected me with just about everybody. Good guy, made sure I got a good start, and I started teaching in Las Vegas. From Las Vegas, I ended up teaching in Chicago, and from Chicago, I've taught a few times in Southern California, a few more times in Vegas. I think once in Oregon. But for the most part, the people who've trained with me the most are located in the Midwest, Northwest Indiana, Chicago. That's where I got the most amount of time in teaching. I was teaching full time at the time, and that went on for about a year. So yeah,
And now you're in Texas, correct?
yes, I am in Texas, right outside Austin. I took a break from teaching for a bit, at least publicly. I was still practicing on my own, and on the rare occasion I would teach somebody, but for the most part, I just kept training for myself. And very recently, one of Maestro's students back home, Norman, Guro Norman, I messaged him. I was like, "Hey, Norms, how are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm getting on a plane. I'm on my way to Texas." I was like, "Really?
Oh,
Where?
jeez.
Where to?" He's like, "San Antonio." I was like, "Well, you know what? I'll be on a bus.
Oh, wow.
I'll be on a bus, man. I'll see you in a few days." And he was like, "All right." So we met up. Yeah, we met up. Started talking again. It was completely unplanned. He was literally like, "Okay, I'm about to board the plane now." I was like, "All right." So a few days later, we met up, spoke again, and him and I paired up. I posted a video recently, and it was great. It was great. I
Oh,
was like, "Oh, I
fantastic.
miss this. I miss talking about it. I miss sharing it.
Sure.
It's great. I'm grateful for it."
All right. I got three questions from people on the from people that on the FMA discussion site there. But before we get into the questions, I wanted to just so you get a chance to give people your social media information. They can check you out or whatever information you want to get for people who maybe were interested in pursuing, you know, what you got to teach. So, what do you got for social media?
I got this Facebook page, my YouTube channel. I'm gonna be starting an Instagram page at some point. Uh, for a very long time, I was mixing my Facebook page with martial arts. I'm going to start another page. Actually, I have a Facebook page, a group page. I'm going to start another one, and that's just for anybody who wants to share and express in an artistic sense. What I'm trying to do right now is to reach out to the local community, or at least this is what I intend to do. I would very, very much like to, you know, it's a gift. That's how I was taught. You know, Iggy, Master Yuli would say, this is a gift. It's not a treasure. It's not a secret. You know, it's not something you just hide. So I would very, very much like to pay it forward. I'm gonna reach out to the local community, law enforcement officers, nurses, teachers. You know,
Oh, fantastic.
I'll gladly share it with them.
No,
And
good stuff.
that's going to be in the works. Anybody can reach me through my Facebook page. Please, by all means, I'm happy to discuss this. I'm happy to talk about it. I'm happy to share it.
I'm gonna, when I get done, like I said, when I do the vid and I post it, I always like to include your YouTube channel, and I think I have it, but I'll be sure to include it, you know, and then the final edited version when I put it on Facebook and all that. But I just visited, so nothing's changed there, right? Same YouTube channel.
Yeah, same YouTube channel. It's still there.
Okay.
I've had that YouTube channel for many, many years.
Yeah, I know some good stuff on there. I highly recommend checking it out. Those who have an interest in seeing the movement from you and GM Yuli, good stuff on there. All right, I'm going to get to the questions, if that's okay with you.
Sure, please. Yeah.
All right. First question from Rich. What arts influenced you? We kind of, but so that's the question. What arts influenced you?
Yeah, actually, Rich messaged me, PM me on Messenger yesterday and just asked me the question directly, and I answered it. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I've just been around martial arts my whole life. I will say it straight out. My first teachers were Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yuan Biao, Van Damme.
Yeah, movies.
Those were my first teachers. Mr. Miyagi. They were. I'll say it straight. Those were my first teachers. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of what I know and understand about martial arts today, the foundation was built on those movies. All right. And they were amazing movies. You know, what I love about the Karate Kid is, you know, I've never trained karate in my whole life, but everybody, you know, everybody can relate to the underdog.
Sure.
You know, and it hit. I was like, you know what, that's an amazing, beautiful thing. Yeah, I never trained karate my whole life, but you know, everybody knows who Mr. Miyagi is.
Yeah.
You know, I can honestly say my first martial arts movie though was Best of the Best.
I'm not familiar with that one. Huh.
Still the best.
I have to check that out. Best of the best.
And, yeah, if you haven't seen it, Best of the Best. It's Philip and Simon Rhee. If whoever has not seen it, please do yourself a favor. Find a copy. They're not easy to find, but find a copy and watch it. It's Taekwondo. I never studied Taekwondo either, but it was, you know, it's Rocky with kicks and a team.
Oh wow! Okay.
Best way I can describe
it. All right. Question 2.
Yeah.
This is from
my first influence.
This is from Arnold. Illustrisimo versus Bahad Zubu. Similar and differences. From Arnold.
Oh, you know, like, I've never trained under Tata, all right, but you know, when I see what he does, and then I watch Master Yuli move, it's nothing at all alike. However, there are moments where I'm like, where Master Yuli is like, okay, then he'll do a specific movement. He's like, this is tatam, boom, and you see it 100%. So it's there, but what Master got mostly from Tatang Illustrisimo was a very important mentality. Okay, it was more of a mentality concept than anything else. Yeah, there are applications. Yes, there's movements. Yeah, the Buklis, the silos there. And a lot of that I can actually show. He taught us to show it. I met Maestro Yuli when he was still carrying the Bahad Zubu Kalis Illustrisimo back in the 90s. So I saw how he did it, and it's there if you want it to be. If at least if I wanted it to be, like I can apply it, I can show it, I can demonstrate it. But the difference between like what Master Yuli got from Tatang that is a part of what he teaches up to now, and how he expresses it again are it's different. It's Maestro Yuli's own expression. Okay,
Right.
and like I could tell people I was trained by an alien. Nobody's gonna believe me because when they see me move, they'll know in a heartbeat. Okay, he's from Yuli Romo,
Yeah, yeah,
and
you can't miss that.
he can pull off movements wherein, yeah, he can say he was taught by an angel, but anybody who sees those movements, that's Tatang illustration. So the
Yeah,
difference. I don't know. It's all part in the same. I
yeah,
guess
I know.
it's the same and it's not the same. It's
Yeah,
it's tricky.
no, that's fair enough. Well, just so you know, before I get on to the third question, I like the what you talked about the mentality, and that's something Burton has instilled in me that when he trained with Taktan in his twilight years, he's always told me that mentality, like not just the physical content, the mentality of like traction, you know, intercept, just that whole, again, the mentality. Don't get caught up in so much on the techniques or how many, and all that,
Yeah,
but the
angle
mentality.
one and angle. Yeah, no,
Yeah, I like that. Third
that
question.
that stuff's easy.
Yeah. Third question from Vic. Why choose Bahad Zubu over others?
Mhm. Well,
It's a tough
again,
one.
I'm not gonna call myself Illustrisimo. At the end of the day, I'm Iggy. Okay. After talking with Norman, I decided, you know what, I will carry Bahad Zubu again. I was asked to. It's the least I could do for the person who taught me so much. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to call myself Illustrisimo. However, when I started training, like 3 years in, I was already an instructor, and or at least I was given permission to teach at the time. And I remember I didn't really talk about it too much with anybody, but I was like, you know what? Like I'm seeing gaps. I'm seeing like like certain situation questions, and I was trying to figure them out. And I was like, okay, you know what? I want to. It kept bugging me, and it's the thing with my brain. Like, if there's something I can't figure out, I'm not getting the answers I want. I'm gonna go and dig. And it ended up, that tunnel ended up leading to Yuli Romo. And I remember like the first time I ever actually paired up with him was the first time I met him. I paired up with him. And then after I started training with him, that's when he told me, okay, just watch. But I
Okay.
remember the first time I ever met up with him. And he was like, here, like, throw me a strike. Okay. And I was like, okay. So I gave him just a basic angle one, but I gave him that same angle, like, I don't know, like at least 2 dozen times. He never did the same thing twice.
Wow.
Okay, this is what I can do moving out. This is what I can do moving in. This is what I can do if I disarm. This is what I can do if I do. And I was like, what the? I was
Yeah, I
like,
know.
wow,
Yeah.
okay. And then in the end, he was like, yeah, all of that's fancy, but all you actually need is one.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
know.
all right, this is it. I'm hanging my hat right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Gone home.
Yeah, that was it.
Wow. Fantastic stuff.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget. And on a side note, just to let people know, I'll still remember the first time I was introduced to him because the first time I saw him was on the cover of Mark Wiley's book, The Secrets of Kalis Illustrisimo, where it was posed in a
Yes.
florete stance like
I
so.
have the book. Yes.
And when I actually, yeah, he was dressed in full, yes, full salakot, full dress, camisa chino and
Yeah.
everything. Look, warrior. And then when I meet the guy, he's got boots, torn jeans, a denim jacket, and a bandana. And I was
Hey,
like, this is
okay.
Yuli Romo. You gotta be kidding me.
I would have been like, hey,
Yeah, and then I
where's that
paired
other
up with
guy?
him. I was like, okay, yeah, this is Yuli Romo.
Where's that other guy?
I wish I took a picture with him back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my first meeting him.
Jeez. Too funny. All right, just before we wrap it up, I just want to know what any closing thoughts, anything that you want to share with us or in promotion of what you're doing or your future plans. How about your future plans? That's a good place to go.
Well, I mean, I've got I made a promise, so to speak. I have to keep it. I have to find someone who can take everything he taught me and do it better than me.
That's great.
I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but I want my students to be better than me. That
Sure.
way, I know beyond any shadow of a doubt I did my job and the art will continue and will prosper. I'm on the journey to find that. I still got to get, I'm still getting my life going. I'm gonna open my restaurant one day. But for the most part, yeah, I'm looking for the people who can carry this. And you know, over the entire time I was training with Yuli Romo, he kept telling me, I wish I could snap my fingers and magically transfer all of my knowledge to you
Yeah.
guys. The snap of a finger,
Jeez.
but I can't.
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
I want to pass this on. I'm not going to hold anything back with it. I don't keep any secrets. It takes time to learn and understand how to apply all of this. There's a structure and a system which I teach, develops that. Of course, anything takes time. It took me a
Sure.
while. Yeah, it's not something I learned overnight. So, yeah, I'm looking for that place where I can find the right kind of people who are looking to carry this, who are looking to carry that torch. And for the most part, right now, is I'm carrying a torch where people are able to light a candle from it and everything, and it helps them guide their own way. I'm looking for somebody who can carry that torch. So at the
Oh,
very least, I'm not
fantastic.
carrying it alone over here. I mean, Master Yuli, yeah, Master Yuli has other students here, and I'm networking with them again. You know, I'm very, very much like to share what I know with them. I haven't actually networked with them in a few years, so that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking for people who can carry this on. So, future plan.
No, that's fantastic. To keep it going, keep the lineage going. Are you in contact with the Midwest chapter of Bahad Zubu?
Yeah, in contact with one of the guys over there, Federico and Mark.
Yeah.
Actually, Freddie, Mark, They were at an event that I did in Chicago once, the Katipunan. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
Held by Guru Nate the Fencer. And
Okay. Okay.
the year that I was demoing there, they were there as well. So I mean, if my travels ever take me back to the Midwest, yeah, Cutler I do believe is in Los Angeles now. Johnny Montecalvo is in Colorado, or at least that's last time I heard. Haven't really kept in touch with them. I speak to Maestro Yuli once in a while. I just spoke to him a while ago actually, and he was like, get back out there, start teaching again. I was like, all right, I will.
Yeah, you should.
Uh, People in Texas love knives,
Yeah,
so I'm like, maybe there's something here.
I think so. The fact that they can
Never
carry
know.
swords around now. You know. Wow. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been fantastic. I personally learned a lot. I was always
Thank
curious.
you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, no, 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 no. My pleasure. Again, I was always curious just about those, these beautiful movements and where they came from. So this has been educational for me, and I think it will be for those who view it after I put the final edit on that, and which I'll definitely tag you on and all that, and I'll put your social media
Right.
stuff on as well. You know. So I want to thank you, and we're going to
Thank you.
wrap
I
this
really
up.
appreciate it, Dean. Really. Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. You know, and we'll stay in touch. And I wish you the best, and I hope you get that train rolling for getting some students.
Oh well, I surely will. You can count on that. That's what I'm here
All
for.
right, all right, sir. Take care.
All right, you too. Have a good
All
night.
right.
Thank you. Pugay. Bye.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. So that was the sixth episode. Next week, I will let you guys know who I'm going to have on. Actually, I'll know by the weekend, and I'll keep you guys posted. If you haven't already, hit like and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, FMA Discussion. All right, thank you all.